Jamal Murray. Ever since he's been hurt, he just hasn't been Jamal Murray. I mean, he was embarrassed in the Olympics. He was embarrassed during the finals. He had one game where he was pretty good. I don't know why. I don't know why Mike Malone is so upset for. He has to do more coaching. He has things to do. I don't know what he upset for.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and on today's Wind Up Wednesday episode, we're going to talk a lot about coaching. In segment one, NBA season is coming into focus, and we got coaches mad in the preseason. Segment two, we will talk about the WNBA playoffs and finals, and although we tape before Game 5, should be Game 7. We got some coaches doing some Pat Riley things, trying to get some calls in the media. And segment 3, we had a big coaching loss. Tony Bennett from the University of Virginia has decided to walk away. So a lot of coaching talk. So let's get to it. Denver Nuggets coach Mike Malone is already in midseason form. Nuggets lost in the preseason last week to the Phoenix Suns, and Malone didn't mince words. And here's what he said, fellas, that caused me to pause. Played the starting unit the whole third quarter, trying to push their envelope a bit, but they're not in the kind of shape that they need to be in. It looked like the Nuggets ran out of gas last year. And Will, you played for me. You know of my hatred for the preseason. Any thoughts about Malone being mad at his players' conditioning going into the season? Are they soft because their coach already said, and it's October, y'all Bamas are soft? What do you think, Will?
Well, I think from back in the day, I think when growing up in the 90s, I saw a lot of three-peats. I saw the Bulls, I saw the Yankees, I saw obviously later in like 2000, I saw the Lakers. And you guys saw more than I saw, those amazing teams. It's hard to win back to back to back. I think everybody thought they were going to be this team that's going to be amazing running through the NBA for the next couple of years. They won one, and granted, they beat Miami. I mean, not the strongest team. And then, yeah, it's tough. It's hard. It's difficult, and everybody's getting older. Michael Porter Jr. had some things going on personally in his life. Aaron Gordon, his talent level is probably the ceiling as where you're at. I don't think he's going to get much better. He's as good as where you're at. Russell Westbrook, I don't really know what he must be a nice guy. He must be a great teammate, but I don't see how he's going to help their team because he hasn't helped the last 3 teams or 4 teams to help them get good. I think he made the Wizards a little better. So I don't know how he keeps bringing on, and I can't people look at him and say he's the piece. But then the biggest thing is Jamal Murray. Ever since he's been hurt, he just hasn't been Jamal Murray. I mean, he was embarrassed in the Olympics. He was embarrassed during the finals. He had one game where he was pretty good. I don't know why Mike Malone is so upset for. He has to do more coaching. He has things to do. I don't know what he's upset for. And I think he's too focused on LA. I think that's the one thing for him. I think he's like, oh, we're gonna beat the Lakers. There's a rest other teams that are beating you that you got to focus on. So we'll see what happens. It's a little early to be upset. It sets the right vibe. I'll say that it sets the right vibe. You guys need to work harder. I'm not saying that that you're not good, but he's setting a good standard. I don't know if an older team is going to respond to that as well. But he's trying early on to get some names going. So, but we'll see.
All right. So George, I'm giving you Detroit. Detroit has not been very good, and their coach JB Bickerstaff is getting more strict about what players wear in practice. So although the game day dress code for the NBA is a little more lax than back when we were younger, he's saying no hoods for the Detroit Pistons. We don't want hoodies. We want an old school mentality. Take your hood off, if you will. George, what are you thinking about the no hoods for the Detroit Pistons?
Detroit going to suck again this year.
Without hoods.
Without hoods. He lost his entire team. because right now it's the preseason. Who cares? And he's making waves now. These guys, they just quit. They quit on him already. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life, seen or heard in my life. He needs to get up with Tom. Hey man, look, who cares? It's Detroit.
George, that's the first thing. When you're a kid, I remember when you were a kid, and I remember Coach Adams like, when we go on away, you're wearing dressed up. And when he said that, people was like, man, what the hell is nigga talking about? I ain't trying to wear no dress up. I ain't trying to wear no suit. No, I'm focusing on the wrong things. I shouldn't be thinking about why I can't wear something. I should be like, oh man, let's go hoop. So yeah, man.
The difference is you were in high school, college. These are grown men.
Right.
These are grown men.
On the flip side of that, Will, you got it reversed. When we traveled away, you had your sweats because I wanted you comfortable all day. Before a home game, we dressed nicely, George, for a home game because they went to go home and change and what have you. And even in college,
even in college, why are you wearing your nice clothes to high school? Why are you wearing them to school?
Why you got your church clothes on going to school?
Yeah, why you
one of the things it did, and George, you know this, it kept them out of trouble because they had nice clothes on, so they didn't get into foolishness.
Right.
And then even in college, we dressed in our travel gear, and when we had a home game, we asked them to come to the arena, with a little something. All right, George, I'm gonna go back to you. Joel Embiid said he's not playing in back-to-backs. You're a coach. What are we doing with that information, sir? What do you think?
I was watching on Twitter the response from KG and Paul Pierce. I don't frequently agree with everything, but I will that they say. But KG, I like what he has to say a lot of times. And what he has said to me, what he said in this just spoke volumes to me. He said, he talked about, you want to talk about errors and how people are. He said, you signed up for a job. Your job is 82 games. Your job is 82 games. It ain't to take off every other back-to-back or whatever it is. He's going to hurt the team. He's going to hurt the flow of the team. And he's going to hurt the team in general. This is ridiculous. I mean, how much more comfortable do we have to make this generation? I mean, yeah, I could go so many places. I'm trying to keep this PG-13 right now. So I'm just going to say this. It could be the dumbest idea to allow somebody to do this if management is. That's all I got to say. That's ridiculous.
So, Cotton Man, you are coaching the Dallas Mavericks, and Luka Doncic finally participated in his first full practice in a couple of weeks. Doncic, Kyrie Irving, and Klay Thompson haven't played a lot together. Klay's 34. He's been on the court, a little bit less because he's dealing with back tightness.
Klay's 46. He's not 34.
Gotta be.
He's 40. He got 46-year-old body.
All right. So what are you thinking if you're coaching Dallas right now, Will?
One thing I'm saying is, man, thank God Luka is on the court, because without that guy, the offense doesn't run. I think Luka is not a guy based on athleticism. He's not
athleticism.
Springbrook
athleticism. That's not his strength. I think he'll be fine. I've been kind of following. I'm keeping him in a fantasy basketball league. I've been keeping very, very closely on his health. I think he'll be fine. And his calf kind of messed him up a little bit last season. That's why he's kind of going and taking a little very easy on this time. Klay, he just has to be in the right spot to catch the pass to shoot a three. I don't know why. We worry about. Look, you get to the open spot. You're the third scorer. Just be open, and when you get back, getting somebody away on defense.
So you just said Klay Thompson is David Brewster. You just said.
Man, he's a prop. He's a shooting prop. He's a shooting prop. You got to do that shoot, and then you got to get back to the next on the half of the court, and then That's all you're doing.
Give him a
All you gotta
rocking
do is
chair
get
and put him in the corner. And just let him sit there and pull it.
just shuffle around. Keep your hands ready. Shuffle around. You ain't got too much. Nobody asking you to Euro to the joint. Nobody asking you taking no. All we need is just shuffle around and be open.
He said on defense, just getting somebody's way.
Just get in the way.
Contain the challenge, man.
Don't get hurt. Don't go overextend yourself. Don't run through a screen and hurt your shoulder and all of a sudden. Just get in the way. Play the
George,
ball.
he just told Clay to just do flyby like John Chaney.
Man,
you teach
it
him
should be in when they go in the huddle, they say, look, who is the worst?
Two steps right, 2 steps left.
Yeah. Who is the worst? Oh, guard that guy. But coach, he's 7 feet tall. I don't care. He can't move. They ain't throwing no plays for him. He ain't getting the ball. They ain't doing nothing.
These are all things I have said, George.
Oh yeah, man.
I'm not worried about that one. You should see the people we let forward guard.
Man, look, if he talk about he got a bad back, man, hey, sit down, go have a smoothie. Keep your, ice your wrist. Make sure you can shoot.
Sorry about that. George, you're going to close us out on this one. Cell phones. The NBA has become the public school system and said no to cell phones in the locker room. Any thoughts about the updated forthcoming NBA cell phone policy as you deal with our public school policy?
Good luck trying to stop it. I mean, you gonna have more of my boy Antonio Brown episode again because somebody was gonna have it out. It's gonna happen. I mean, it is inevitable. You expect. I guess you want it to be a situation where you got adults acting like adults, but it just doesn't happen like that all the time. And then again, who cares? It's the preseason. NBA trying to stay relevant right now because they trying to get their little piece of the pie because they mad. They mad.
George, they will have to take the cell phone and put in a little pouch.
The little pouch.
With the lock on the jaw.
They're gonna
after the games.
They're gonna have little bags. They're gonna have little bags up front in the locker room that everybody got deposited their cell phone in.
Well, welcome to the school system, NBA.
But these Bama's got more than one. They gonna I give this to teacher.
Hey, here you go.
I got the business.
I got 3 iPhones. Now, what you talk about? I make $50 million. You talk about one iPhone.
I got the what about the watch? The watches are worse than the phone.
I got the watch. The watch is limited in terms of what you can do.
You
can't take pictures and things like that.
Right.
But
you can record. You can record, especially it's got Wi-Fi. It's got Wi-Fi. So
yeah.
All right, so fans, in segment 2, we're going to really talk about the WNBA finals as well as coaching moves in the WNBA. We'll be right back on the iCoaches Podcast. This is Dr. Keith Adams, president of the CKA Safe Project, with a question for you. Are you passionate about supporting student athletes? If so, then become an official member of the CKA Safe Project and make a difference today. With your membership, you'll be able to help us provide essential academic and athletic support to underserved communities nationwide. Join us in empowering student athletes to achieve their full potential, both on and off the field. Together, we can build a brighter future through education and sports. Visit CKASafeProject.org and choose your membership level now. $25 is a bronze level membership, $50 is a silver level membership, and $100 is a gold level membership. Be a part of the change. Become a member of the CKA Safe Project today. Welcome back to the Hot Coaches Podcast. In segment 2. We've had some of the best basketball in the WNBA finals, and unfortunately, we tape early and the game is late. So I'm glad the game is in prime time. I don't know the prime time NFL game that they're going to go against that they'll lose to, but New York Liberty and Minnesota Lynx I
Lynx.
forgot the.
Lynx.
So Minnesota, as we said in the preview, are the best defensive team, and we also said that New York had stars and they're playing for history. And Sabrina Ionescu with the big shot, and then she didn't get the big shot. But Minnesota is fearless. When you're a good defensive team, you are absolutely, positively fearless with whoever you play. George, we can't do predictions because the games will be over. But any thoughts on the WNBA finals as they made it to game 5?
Been some of the best basketball I've seen in a long time. They are going at it. It's a straight war. I did not. I thought that I thought that the Liberty were just on a mission, which they still currently are. I think they were, but I'm Las Vegas. I thought Las Vegas was going to get it done, and they just couldn't get over the hump. And I'm impressed with the Lynx. The Lynx been playing lockdown defense, and they make every game ugly, which I do like about them, and they're just playing great D. So this has been some of the best basketball I've seen in a while. They are going at it.
Yeah. Well, what do you think? Because I do like the fact that Minnesota, they just seem to, as we like to say, they just seem to like each other.
Yeah.
They just like each other.
Man, I'm gonna have an old school name for y'all. I've been at Stans over the weekend, and they were playing and they were watching the WNBA game, and people were locked in. People were locked in, man. And I've never been a situation where people are looking, focusing, cheering, actively rooting for a WNBA team, and they didn't even have the ALCS on, and I was kind of upset. You know what I'm saying? I have my phone going in the bar, but they had two people with Yankees hats on watching the game, man, and that speaks a lot. You know where we're coming from, especially because this kind of game wouldn't even get any kind of time on nobody, and now they're Friday night. People in bars having a good time, watching, cheering. The energy is great, man. The energy is great, and it's a great series. It's a good series too. Like this is the game 5. This is their game 7, if you want to say that. I'm definitely going to be watching. We'll see what's going on. I can flip by. You can flip. NFL ain't that exciting. I can't flip over. Problem ain't that excited. We got red zone, all that stuff. I ain't missing nothing. So yeah, I'm gonna turn over and watch and see what they're going, man. And I think this is gonna be the beginning of the new frontier, man. It's gonna be exciting. Where, but maybe not go against the NFL if you want.
Hey, and especially this is why you love, for everybody out there, why you love YouTube TV. They give you the multicast, so you can put multiple.
Like that.
You can put multiple games on at one time, Jack. So you can watch them both at the same time.
All right, so I'm going to go with Will first. You played for me. How do you talk to an Angel? Angel Reese, end of the season. We don't have a coach yet in Chicago, and she's talking about the money in terms of the WNBA that pay her bills. You got the league trying to grow. You got a new TV contract coming out. If you are one of her teammates, how are you looking at what she's saying? You've seen the show notes. What do you think before I go to management?
I say the same thing to her. I tell my wife the entirety of our marriage. The money's coming. Don't worry. The money is coming. I think I mean, they make these drastic, differences in terms of, she can't pay her rent. And there's a lot of people who are like, well, why is she paying $8,000 in rent? And da. How much do you think an apartment in the middle of Chicago costs? Like, what do y'all think it is? You should at least be able, so I'm not going to talk about somebody, how they spend their money. I think that's the wrong way we're going into the conversation. The WNBA is positioning themselves to make a lot of money. They're going to tear up that CBA, tear it up. It's going to be brand new. They're going to have to redo the whole thing. And they're working actually with the NBA. I've been reading to other podcasts, learning about what's going on. Spot Track, for example. And they're saying that the NBA and the WNBA are really talking these real conversations about changing the CBA. Now, I don't know when. I don't know which player is going to be the one to kind of, start the whole thing. But yes, they will start getting a lot of money. A lot of money. They're understanding the TV deals or where the money is, the streaming, because now you don't have to fight with one people watching one TV. No, you can watch on the iPad, you're watching your laptop, watching your phone. Yes, but I would tell her, I say, look, you making good, hold on to your money, your ad money, keep playing that you young enough, you're gonna see it. That WNBA money is coming. Trust me. And people are gonna pay because no longer people aren't saying shut up over there when they complain about their money. You remember back in the day, they say, well, I need to make more money. Shut up. Y'all need to make more fans. Well, now we got the fans. So let's go about this money, And I think it's coming. And I would tell her, it's coming. Just be patient and don't get in trouble. Stay healthy. You're going to get your bag.
Georgia management. This comes across your desk that your player spouting out there like that. How's management feeling about Angel Reese's comments in the media?
They ain't happy. So I can tell you that now. They ain't happy. But the big problem is there isn't much they can do. Because if you remove her and Caitlin Clark, the league is back where it was before the two of them came. You're talking about the two needle movers. So you got problems. And you just wish that she had gone and played in some golf tournament instead of, like Caitlin Clark did, instead of starting a podcast and out here in hot pants. You got problems. Because
we're not arguing.
No.
We're not complaining.
No, because Angel Reese is the real issue that you have while trying to put some barriers on, because she, unlike Caitlin Clark, her influence has spread into multiple facets. So it's like, she's got the podcast now. She's going to be on everywhere at every little event on the red carpet. They got her out here as like an IG babe and stuff. So her cachet and profile is bigger than Caitlin's. So you got a problem, and she likes to talk, which Caitlin doesn't. So you knew this is what if you didn't understand this is how she got in trouble at LSU from why she didn't play in them first 5 or 6 games at the beginning of the season. So this is a problem you have. It is about managing your personnel right now. So I would have to bring her in and be like, look, Slim, because I got to go at it like this, and it's basically, look, Slim, I understand it's being worked on, but you got to tone it down, because if you going out here and spouting off at the mouth, it's going to feed in the other part with her though. With Angel, it's going to feed into her and her persona where other people see her. She's going to continue, even though she's speaking the truth. She's going to still
she told no lies, right. But sometimes
it's going to enforce that villain role that they have given her. But
yes,
Angel doesn't care, because it's going to keep eyes on her, and she's embraced it. And it's going to be because you're either one way with Angel Reese. There's no middle ground. So she's going to keep pushing it. And I think in the way she sees it, and it's probably rightly so, she sees she's doing it for everybody else in the league, which she is. But she's going to be the one out front taking the bullet for everybody else in the league. So,
but she can't look at a money hungry kind of person. I think that's the biggest thing, is you don't want somebody who you're trying to connect to as an American, as a regular American person who's always worried about money. So I can only date an NBA player. I can only, I need my bag. $8,000. Like I know that's a quiet flex. That's a quiet flex. I mean, I that's what the kids see. It's like, well, damn, she living $8,000. I can barely, that stuff turns people off. Black, white, doesn't matter. I think she has to be very careful how she moves forward, especially with the money stuff. It's very. But because you got people who are like, I can't. I can't get groceries, and she complaining about $8,000 rent.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
that turns people off.
well, she's gonna turn people off naturally. I mean, there, like I said, you're either one way or not one way with her. So, but what she is needed because she is the voice, that squeaky wheel that's going to get some change done. Now, is she going to take bullets for it? Yeah. Is she ready to? Is she ready to take those bullets? Yeah, she is, because she stepped out there.
We don't know, because we don't know. She's never really had to take and I get it. She's like, oh, well, now people are talking trash to me, and then social media and stuff. It's only going to get worse.
She been taking bullets. It's
only going to get worse.
She been taking bullets the entire year, so it's nothing new and different. But
there's a lot of people quietly who will say, well, I go on the social media and I see they saying this, and I've been depressed, and I haven't been playing well, and I can't do this, and I can't. There's also a backstory of all this,
of course,
that we're not hearing about.
Right.
And I think she has to just be careful, because you turn off the regular person, the regular. I wake up, I put on my lunch pail, go to work, I come back, I have enough to have enough beer, whatever. I can watch the game. Cool. I'm not trying to hear this person complaining they got $8,000 rent. I'm not trying to hear it.
And that person
walking around with diamonds and stuff, and they complain about me. I don't want to hear it.
And that person's going to tune in every week to see her get beat.
Yeah.
So she's working for him.
All right. So that was good. So in segment 3, we're going to talk about something very close to me. Tony Bennett retired at 55. College basketball coaching is not what it used to be. We'll talk about it. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast. This is Dr. Keith Adams, president of the CKA Save Project and author of Finding the Balance, my personal journey to academic and athletic success. This book is your key to unlocking the secrets of being a successful student athlete. Drawing from my 30-year career as a teacher and coach, this instructional guide offers a unique perspective on achieving success in both academics and athletics. With over 15 personal stories and insightful antidotes, Finding the Balance is a must-read for student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators. Visit www.ckasaveproject.org to get your copy and start finding the balance today. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast. In segment 3, when is it time to go? So Tony Bennett was the head coach at the University of Virginia, coached there for 15 years, decided to retire last week. And fellas, here's what I'd like for you to react to a couple of quotes from his press conference. Tony Bennett said, and I quote, "I am no longer the best coach to lead this program in this current environment." Well, he led the Cavs to their first and only national championship in 2019, the year after losing for the first time as a 1 seed to a 16 seed in UMBC in the greatest upset in the history of college basketball. He hadn't won an NCAA tournament game since the national championship that he won, but everybody knows what a good coach he is. And there's just a reality of coaching today. It's very similar to education. And Dean Smith said it best in 1997 when he retired. He retired in October before the season, saying he was not able to give the team the same level of enthusiasm he had given it for years. George, I'm going to start with you. We're contemporaries age-wise of Tony Bennett. Any thoughts about his retirement, change in landscape, whatever direction you want to go in?
You just see it coming. Tony Bennett he came in, Krzyzewski was still coaching, Roy Williams. You got a lot of the greats. College landscape and the way you do things has changed. It is 100%. Players have gotten more power than they've ever had. Tony Bennett was never one of running out here and getting the one of the top 25 recruits. He built teams. His teams were from the ground up. You come in learning the system as a freshman. You mature sophomore. If you look back at it, his good teams were always junior, senior led teams. That's not today's college. And it's not just basketball. This is across the board. So I put Tony Bennett and Nick Saban in the same basket. Things are done different now. They want to be coaches. They don't want to be business managers or the head of team GMs. They don't want to be that. And the only way college, and we're in an upheaval time. The only way college is going to get back to that stasis, equilibrium, there's going to have to be almost like a GM role in college to allow coaches just to coach and somebody handle the business part of it. So, and it's going to happen, and you're going to need that for your prominent sports, your basketballs, your footballs, your baseballs, because money is an issue. Because the kids are allowed to get money. They're start asking schools, what are you doing for me? Back in the day when we came through, it was always about, what are you offering me? Well, I'm offering you a free 4-year education, which was some bull crap, because on your back, I'm going to make this multi-millions right here, and all I'm going to do you really is give you this, honestly, this $15,000, $20,000 education you're about to get, but I'm going to make multi-millions off your back. So now that the whole scheme has changed, your coaches that were just damn good coaches, and I'm talking about the Bennett's, the Nick Sabans, my man who was up at Villanova,
Jay Wright.
Mm-hmm.
There's not room for them anymore because they were just coaches. They were about taking a young man, a young man, and making him a man, and giving him the fundamentals to be at the next level, if they could get there, and if not, to be successful in life. And it's not there. It's not about that anymore. It's not that anymore.
All right. Well, we have had these conversations long before Tony Bennett, because I stopped coaching in 2012, 2013, and you were joking, but you were serious, saying, I don't know if you coach anymore, Coach, because it's just different. So when you heard about Tony Bennett, what are your thoughts? React in any way you want to.
I was going through a lot of the notes that you said. I'm getting B40, so I'm about 38 coming up. So I'm really starting my career. I'm in the middle of my career, at the height of it. And for him to be, 55, he's still young. To have the awareness to say, like, man, I would do this kid a disservice if I continue to coach. And it's a lot of things that he said on his press conference that said that I won't understand right now. There's a lot of things that his players won't understand right now, just being so young. But I'm sure when I get to 50, 55, 60, I want to leave on my own terms. I think that was the thing that we talk about, is leaving on your own terms. You don't want to become that guy who you stay around and people are like, get him out, he's too old. You don't want to be like Bob Huggins, where the oldness is coming out. For people to say that this was easy for him to do, I'm sure that was one of the most difficult. I'm sure he's probably thinking the last 2 years, he's probably just like, man, like, when am I going to have the time to tell my teammates or tell my players, that I can't do this anymore. It'll be a shock. The biggest thing is the shock was the timing. College basketball is about to start. But I think, as we know, remember Urban Meyer was the same way at Florida. He left. He said, man, I can't do it right now. I've got some things going on I got to focus on. He came back with Ohio State, and he was then coaching another 7-10 years. So who knows if that's the last time we'll hear of Tony Bennett. We'll see. I wish him the best. I know that decision was not the easiest one to make. I know if I know if before he told us, I'm sure he talked to his team and said, "This is what I want to do." And I know that they were probably like, "Coach, we're 100% with you. You brought us in, like George says, you helped me become a man, because they're not one of those teams that, you get like all American guys and they leave after a year. These guys, they come 2, 3 year, 4 year stay. They don't really transfer either. They like what they plan for them. So I'm sure, because as we've seen coaches who, write messages on the whiteboard and say, "I'm out of here. See you later." To have the respect to one, talk to your players and say, "This is my decision." It's difficult. You'll understand when you're a little older. And then sat down and had a press conference and basically said everything. I mean, nobody should need anything from him. And I wish him nothing but the best moving forward. And if he decides to go back into coaching, whether it's high school, high end high school or college, man, great job. But I commend him for his being upfront and saying people what a lot of people want to say. I'm just can't do this anymore, and I have the ability, whether it's money or family love or things like that. He's able to step away gracefully, and I commend him and I applaud that young man. I mean, he is a young man. I don't get 25 ain't old, but yeah.
So for me, and George and I live this, and I'll go into my truth, and George will have that option if he wants to. But I left coaching. Coaching didn't leave me because I could still coach. I still have influence. And as we watch and we have our conversations, we're right more than we're wrong. And that's something George and I talk about all the time. We can still see the game and do all of that, but it's just different. So I went into my coaching world. And everyone gave me permission to share their thoughts because this is real. I am in my 30th year of serving the public as an educator. And yes, there's other things I want to do. So I spoke to Steve Turner, who's the head coach at Gonzaga College High School, and he said, great coaches are getting out because the landscape are changing. And as George said, they want to coach basketball and they're not able to do that anymore. So I talked to Damon Pigram, who's a former high school, college basketball coach, and he says it's just a different time, and there's a lot going on. Glenn Farello, head coach at Paul VI, said Tony Bennett himself is a class act, and what Will said is something similar to what Glenn said, to have the awareness and perspective that he does on how he wants to be a leader. That's inspiring. So I call Coach Franchise. Mike Francis said, and of course it's Mike, guys, he just needs to step aside because if you can't do it, move. Get out and next guy up. That's kind of how Mike looked at it. So I talked to our favorite administrator, Robert Abney, and Robert said he clearly has decided he does not want to continue to play the game as it's currently constituted. But we should all be lucky to be able to leave on our own terms because, as we say on the show, every week it rarely ends well. So Amonte Hill, head coach of Frederick High School in Maryland, just won the 4A state championship, used to coach with me at Hood, used to coach community college as well. This is how to retire correctly and set your staff up for success. So even retiring now puts his staff in a position. Josh Pratt, head coach at Archbishop Spalding, coached a lot of guys that went to the pros. It's harder and harder to coach. George mentioned that piece. NIL and collectives have changed the game. So I reached out to Chad Dickman at Hood College. And again, Chad, master's degree in business, MBA, said it's an entirely different business now. It is almost impossible to maintain the consistency of a culture in Division I. So a lot of people who took pride in their programs are just done. Spoke to Tom Dickman, one of my mentors, coaching buddies. We coached together at Hood College. And again, it's just a different game. But TD said good coaches are leaving the profession. And finally, before I let the panel speak, Coach Johnson, Alfred Johnson, on the show frequently, he said college basketball needs fixing. College basketball needs fixing because we're losing good coaches who we need. George, last thoughts, any reaction to the plethora of folks that I spoke to, along with any of your final thoughts?
That last comment. It's not that college basketball needs fixing. That is us grasping at what we know, what we grew up with. The landscape has changed. Tony Bennett said it, and he saw it in himself. And that's why I said he's a damn good coach, but these damn good coaches, this system does not work for what they grew up with or how they know how to do things. So it was really introspective on Tony Bennett's part to go ahead and say, I can't function in this system and it's time for me to step down. And you see it now, like with it, even in high school, because the way kids move and bounce back and forth for a number of different things. Personally, I could go back and go coach. I mean, I get offered all the time. People are like, come on, you coming out this year? Come on, help me out. I can't do it. Reason I left, and I'll get personal. I walked away because I had raised other people's children, and it was time for me to raise my own. Okay. So I had done it I've coached at so many different levels, Keith, you know that. So it was time for me to take care of my own. So now I enjoy being dad and the fan now. So that's where my perspective comes from. But in that, I have in my unique perspective, I watched it change, and it really has. There is no. You came up in the system. You were at the youth league level. You come to high school. High school, you go to college. That stuff, it's not like that anymore. And there are some really good coaches, but also a big part about being a good coach is being a good manager. And not just a manager of not just your kids, but of your program. And because as time changes, you got to change with time. I give more and more credit to Coach K now about his greatness than I do anytime else. Coach K adjusted his system and how he did things. And then Coach K found out, I can't keep this up. This moves faster than I can deal with. And I'm going to step away because the foundations and pillars are here. And somebody with more energy that knows how to do it can come in and keep it moving. And he left, and John Shire and Duke has not missed a beat. So I will give them all the credit in the world. And it's not something I think the pressure on is so much harder now because there's so many more things. And it's something that personally I don't know if I really want to be involved in. So God bless them. And, there's special dudes out there. That's why I said earlier, I think there needs to be broken down into two roles. There needs to be that GM that handles the money and personnel. And there needs to be the coach that just coaches. Coach can have some say in personnel decisions, but I wouldn't, they do that together. But the money part, I keep that all out. So.
All right, Cotton Man, your thoughts before I wrap up.
I mean, George said it like the best way. And again, I'm not at my life now where I can really look back on things like that. But I do think that I have a lot of, I call them older brothers. George is an older brother. Keith is a mentor, older brother to me, and teach me and understand you're going to hit a wall or you're going to get to a point in your life where you have to think about what's important for you. I'm focusing on making money. I'm at that age now where I'm making money. I ain't worried about nothing, making money. And there's a lot of things, the bigger things that you can think about. I have two young kids, neither one is 10 years old. I'm blessed to have a job where I can work at home and be with them, and have that time. So I'm sure when I get to my 50s and 55, 60, I'll say, you know what, man, y'all was really on it talking about it. Y'all made sense, that. And in today's world, Tony Bennett, he doesn't have to step away from basketball. I'm sure CBS is calling him right now with a nice contract for March Madness for him to be an analyst. He'd be there. So the money thing is he's not worried about money at his age. Either way, I'm sure he's not worried about money either. But it does remind people that in this whole world, idea, society that believes money, 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 money. It's good to see like there's people out there who say, man, you know what? I can see more than the money. There's more important things, my family, my health, and now we're starting talking about mental health. So people aren't just looking on physical health. It's like, man, are you mentally going to be in this, and saying enough, like I'm taking a step back because I can't support the kids that I told them I believed in, and that takes a lot of like introspective thought. So yeah, like last thing to say, good luck to him. I'm sure we'll see him on March on TBS or TNT talking to Charles and Kellogg and all them dudes. But yeah, man, I know it's a very difficult decision to make, and he did it. I think that's the best grace that he did was the way he did it. I think that's the best way. That's the best way you could do it. You got a chip, you stepped away. I don't care what people say about timing. Your timing is the best time. We can't focus on other people's timing. So, best of luck to him, and that's the best way we can say it. That's the best thing.
All right. So, real talk, real life. Part of the reason why I left coaching is because, as George said, my son was about 5 or 6 at the time, and I'm working on my doctorate. I'm still coaching at Hood, and he said to me, and I was recently divorced, and he said, "Daddy, can you play with me?" And I got dissertation, I got notes, I got all of this. And it was one of those real moments to say, he's only 5 once, he's only 6 once, he's only 7 once. And that's the number one player. That's the no-cut contract. George and I have that conversation often because that's real. So I left and I picked and choose my spots. If my players call, I'll do whatever. And I was talking to a former player. I won't say his name, but he said, "Coach, you have all of this knowledge. You've got all of these notebooks. You've got all of this. You owe us to share that." And that was real too, because this generation of coach is not being raised like the generation of coaches that George and I came up in. So how can I give back? Well, the CKA Save Project is looking to do a postgraduate academy. We're looking to launch that in 2026, where we can intentionally work with a group of student athletes and teach them the academic side, teach them the athletic side, teach them the business side, because it's multiple, it's growing, and then provide them an experience that will help them be better decision makers. And because there's no 19U AAU, we're not competing with anybody. And we do have a network of folks. So stay tuned. We're working on the project plan, proof of concept, but that's a way we can not only help players, but we can also help young coaches by giving them guidance and mentorships and talk about nutrition and financial planning and career development. And with guys like Will and guys like George to just be sages on the stage and just kind of help and make a little something on the side. We don't do pro bono work. We're real. But that's kind of what I'm looking at. So to wrap up, as Will said, the time you go is the best time to go. He's put his coaching staff in a position of success. One of my coaching friends and mentors, Jason, is on the staff there. They do an outstanding job. And on behalf of our Cavalcade of Stars, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the iCoaches Podcast, and we will see you on the sidelines. Until next time, take care.
The iCoaches Podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The iCoaches Podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the iCoaches Podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the iCoaches Podcast on Twitter and Instagram @oddcoaches.
Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.